Yeah, but that's why I wanted to, and I'm glad you were good with that because I really just wanted to hear kind of your fresh thoughts, take
Yeah,
general, have a conversation and explore it more and understand more because it's really interesting, really, really interesting. And,
I think
I
so.
think
Yeah.
we could go into it a lot deeper, but especially considering um how the myth of some of these gods and goddesses connects to astrology and um, to deep psychological processes of healing, it's really, really cool stuff, you know?
Yeah. So, and we should go into the astrology a little bit. That's
Mm.
another thing we've been talking about. We need to talk about as
Uh-huh.
far
Yeah.
as we've been wanting to have this conversation about,
Mhm.
essentially about, our, I, I guess differences would be the best way of putting it with
Mhm.
respect to astrology. And
Mhm.
I think we've crossed swords a couple times in the past recently with respect to our perspectives and our shared space here in
Mhm.
Chiron's cave. And I think maybe we should talk a little bit about that. Yeah, so we were talking about discussing our potential differences. I wouldn't say of
Mhm.
opinion. I don't think it's a
Mhm.
difference of opinion. I think it's a difference potentially of perspective and or engagement, I would say. What we're
Mm.
doing with astrology
Mm. Mhm. Hmm.
individually.
Uh-huh. Ooh, I like that
Um
question. I just like that question. I'm like, "That's a very juicy question." But go ahead.
yeah.
It is.
Well, what go I mean,
Mm-mm.
that's sort of putting it out there, right? That's
Yeah. Yeah.
that's the carcass
Yeah, no,
we're going to
don't put
examine.
don't put me on the hot seat yet. You share first. I've got Scorpio rising. You
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so and because in all fairness to us,
Yeah.
this has been a mutual exploration. Now, your perspective, your engagement, your relation to astrology is a lot
Mhm.
more mature than mine. If we're just talking specifically like engagement with astrology,
It's like I've
as
been in a very long marriage with astrology, and you are kind of a newlywed, and but but you've been
yes and
I don't
no.
know. Yeah, yeah.
Well, well, yes. The thing is, I've been exploring
Mhm.
more, I would say,
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
you've been in it longer. So, like one of the things you
Right.
mentioned, like meeting me, one of the things that was great for you was like you got this new breath of life.
Yeah,
I think
definitely.
maybe you felt like your place in astrology had grown somewhat stale with just repetitiveness. Maybe
Mhm.
I don't know. I'm putting words into
Well,
your mouth
yeah,
right now.
I would love to just kind of clarify and kind of just speak to that, and then I
Yeah.
want you to continue on. But basically, yeah, that's a really I was doing a lot of like much deeper client process work, which was not as much reliant on the astrology. And so I mean, the astrology was part of it and it was like embodied in my approach. But then it's like you kind of came back in and really helped me to revive the passion for the actual knowledge of astrology that kind of set me on the whole pathway to begin with and brought a huge, and I guess you could say like injection of astrological inspiration to then integrate and put back into my practice as an astrologer, as a practicing astrologer. So yeah, very inspirational and even like like taking me back to the foundations, like a good Aquarius, like taking me back to the past so that I could launch forward again in the future, between the past and the future. So yeah, anyway.
Yeah, I'm an iconoclast, right? I mean, I'm gonna smash the images up and see what holds up. Like I'm gonna
Right.
pressure
It's a good
test
way
everything,
of
you know,
describing iconoclast. Yeah, that's
in a scientific kind of way too, though. Like right, because it's not just woo to me. It's not just like, oh, what can I tell the future? Like how can I tell what's gonna happen? Like you know what I mean? It's like okay, what?
Mhm.
It's for me. It was like there is truth here. To me, it
Mhm.
was obvious. Astrology
Right.
houses deep truths in the human experience.
Mhm.
spiritual truths.
Mhm.
And so I was like, what are those? I want to know what those are. So
Right.
for me, it's like, okay, how do we know that? Where did this come from? Like, you know, so, but yeah, for me, it's very much, when you met me, right? It's like, I, I'm, I'm questioning all this stuff, like foundationally, which, which one is right? The sidereal or the tropical, right? Which house system is correct? Like the big questions in astrology that like most people in astrology, it it may be mentioned, but, like, it's not talked about as much because, like, if I'm gonna teach Placidus, then that's what I'm teaching. Like, we're not gonna talk about
Right.
why I teach Placidus. Like, you're
Right.
just gonna that's what I teach. Do you wanna learn that or not? We're not questioning, and to me, it's almost dogmatic. It's like being in church and saying, "Well, why do the Buddhists have to go to hell?" Well, we don't
Yeah.
ask that question. Don't, ask, and so I'm like, "No, I'm gonna ask that question."
It was
Like,
less Greek philosophy of the why and more the come on in, have a seat and join in with where we are. And so yeah, you kind of come in and almost have to be that like Socratic gadfly, right? Like asking the
the
questions and the
tower, yeah.
why and
I
mhm.
come in, I'm the tower card here to blow your
Right.
shit up. And
Yeah.
you better have a good foundation because if you don't, you're gonna leave questioning who you are. And like
Yeah.
I'll
Right.
have the
Right.
rug that you were standing on and I'm gonna be holding it like, you want this back? Cause like I didn't mean
Yeah.
to,
Uh.
tear it up or anything. It's still fine. You can have it back.
Yeah.
You can
I don't have
stand
an
back on
Aries
your
moon.
rug. I didn't
Right.
piss on your rug, dude.
Right. Yeah.
But I kind of did, but you can wander it, I guess.
Yeah.
Anyway, so to kind of get back to I would say like that's the big difference between it's a difference of where I was with astrology with respect to where you are and have been for 20 plus years as a counseling astrologer. So like I could
Yeah.
imagine you're consulting clients using all these
Mhm.
techniques of
Yeah.
astrology, in your case, a good bit of Hellenistic here recently, like the past
Yeah.
few years, right? You kind of got into the Hellenistic thing and started doing
Yeah.
Hellenistic techniques and like
And whole sign
using that
house.
using
Mhm.
for client work and consultation. So
Right.
to have a young astrologer come in who's an iconoclast and like
Mhm.
question all this stuff, you've been extremely graceful, one, with it.
Mm.
You've taken it on as been, like you said, like it's like, oh wow, this is amazing. All this new like
Mhm.
inspiration, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
It's not like because you weren't threatened by it, you
Right.
know.
Correct.
But
Yeah,
then
exactly.
as things progressed and as we continued and we started this podcast, and I think once we actually did start sort of mutually trying to consult with a client,
Yeah.
that's when I think we came into some trouble,
Right. Right, right, right. Like some good 90-degree uh friction.
which wasn't, it was really just, I feel like inevitable working this shit
Yeah.
out,
Right.
Cause like
Yeah.
I wasn't trying to I wasn't trying to piss on your rug, you know,
No, yeah, yeah. No. Mm-mm. No, I
uh,
know. I know. Yeah.
and it's a completely understandable how why it happened and how it happened to me. So that but it's like for me, it's even left me questioning, well, okay, so well, what am I doing with astrology? You know,
Hmm.
trying to even
Mhm.
answer that question for myself because like I think one of the things that kind of got us heated a little bit was when I was like, oh, I don't do predictive astrology. And you were
Yeah.
like, well, if you're not doing predictive astrology, you're not doing astrology kind of thing.
Well,
Like, it's like,
I didn't say that though, but
what
no,
that's kind of the thing though.
I just went and found you a present. That's all.
Well,
No,
I don't know what the
but
present is yet. So
yeah, yeah. Well, for further conversation, but yeah, because it's a growth. It's 90 degrees is a growth aspect, not to be like pedantically astrological here, but or like oversimplify the nature of it. But if it didn't, if it didn't get, if it, I knew you were an Aquarius when, I met you. I know. I knew you had the moon in Aries. Like that's the thing about like intellectual friendship in general. It's like you just have to respect and try to understand who people are and accept them for who they are, and of course deal with whatever the stuff that is going to come up looks like, anyway, but yeah, it was inevitable. So, yeah.
Yeah, so and where it is for me, it's like, well, I'm still figuring it out, but I kinda have
Uh-huh.
an idea
Uh-huh.
maybe
Hmm.
of, like and it's not even that it's a difference. It's like, yeah, it's like yes and kinda thing, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
because what I'm doing is yeah, I'm not interested in predicting anything, but it is inherent in astrology. It's like there is some element of prediction, even if it's just you're just predicting. It's not even prediction though, really. It's just that's the thing. It's this is the energy, right, that
Mhm.
you're gonna be faced
Right.
with.
Yeah.
So it's like, but you don't have to see that as prediction. You can see it as just
No.
factual knowledge.
No,
Like,
you could just think of it as like, well, yeah, true. And I want us to do a whole episode on prediction and have this conversation like in full episode form. But I'm not quite ready yet to do that.
okay,
I mean, we can talk about this, and I'm not like shutting the door on kind of talking about prediction today even in a casual way, but just know that it's kind of like the Eleusinian mysteries. Like I want to have like a fleshed out like rich conversation about it, if
sure.
you'll indulge me.
Well, and this is the thing. We're at the end anyway of this sort of
Mm.
session of Chiron's Cave, right? I mean, we typically do like an hour and a half,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
that's
I'm
about
not in
what
a
we have in the
hurry. I mean,
tank.
I'm not in a hurry. We can certainly talk about it more, but just know there's more down the line if you'll indulge me.
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh,
Mhm.
there's always that. Like, otherwise,
Mhm.
we don't have a show anymore, right? I mean,
Right, right, right.
so, but what I want to say for me is my understanding. Where I'm at is that for astrology for me is about a spiritual knowledge
Mhm.
about like the fabric of not just reality, but like
Mm.
my soul and experience as a human being on planet Earth.
Mhm. Mhm.
And
Yeah.
so for me, it's very much a personal uh journey. And so I don't feel like when I say I don't want to do prediction or I'm not interested in that, it's for other people. I'm not
Ah.
interested in doing that for other people
Mhm.
because for me it's like that's not what I'm here for.
Right.
You see
Yeah.
what I mean?
I do.
Um
Yeah, and we've even talked about that with like you might have a book in your like being kind of an
definitely.
academic astrologer, right? Not to put you in any kind of box, but in terms of what you described, what astrology is for you, it's I can't find anywhere that that isn't true for me as well. Like what you said is also
Right.
true for me in terms of what astrology is, which is interesting because yeah, our approach to it and maybe what we get out of it and the way we do it is very different, and our purposes with exploring it and knowing it and deeply studying it and seeing it as the sacred art that it is, our reasons might be different in the way it plays out for each of us. But yeah, fundamentally, I have the same belief about astrology. And like you
Mhm.
said, your sense of wanting to understand it is not to be a consulting astrologer and not to be able to, in other words, facilitate that process for other people using astrology to do that, right?
It's not that I'm the thing with that is I see it as like so sacred that I can't do that for other
Oh,
people.
right, right, right.
Do you
Mhm.
see what I mean? Like it's like
I do. Mhm.
because know thyself, right? And so like it's not that I don't want to do that for other people. It's that I don't know how to in a way.
Mm.
Using astrology
Yeah.
specifically. Um
Right.
so
Huh.
I want to I want to be like a Chiron figure for people
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
help people heal and know thyself. I want
Yeah.
to facilitate that like Chiron did for the Greek
Cool.
princes, right?
Yeah. Right.
That's kind of like a model for me. One of the myths that I want to live out is
Yeah.
as I
Mhm.
progress in this life and become older.
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
and astrology is certainly going to have a part to play there.
Yeah.
My struggle, it's like a Virgo. It's a Virgo struggle. Really is. It really is.
Mhm.
It's Saturn in Virgo with Mars and
Mhm.
probably Jupiter too, but like it's more of a Saturn and Virgo thing, I feel like, because it's
Hmm.
like that. taskmaster of the particulars,
Mm.
and
Mhm.
that my understanding of those particulars, so, substitute that for techniques
Uh,
of astrological interpretation, are
right.
never gonna be good enough. They're never gonna
Uh-huh.
stand up. They're never gonna fulfill or satisfy that
Uh-huh.
Saturn in Virgo. And so
Mhm.
my feeling of that, lived feeling of that, my lived
Mm.
experience of that is that I can't do that for people because it's
Mhm.
never gonna be good enough.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I have
Mhm.
to understand it perfectly and know
Right.
that it's true, and that
Yeah.
these techniques that I'm using,
Mhm.
in other words, the house system that I'm using,
Yeah.
right? Or
Mhm.
the zodiac that I'm using. I
Mhm.
know fundamentally, like, in the roots of it, and 100% it's true and correct before I can
Right.
use that to counsel people. But that's just
Right.
my
Mhm.
experience,
Yeah. Yeah,
and it's different
right.
than yours.
Yeah,
And you're
right.
comfortable doing that for people, and you've been doing
Yeah.
that for people.
Right,
That's
right.
where
And
we're
I
different.
yeah, it is, and I came from that, and so, I mean, my mom was a professional therapist, and, it's the comfort and the familiarity and the way of m moving people through trauma, crisis, difficulty, um, the 8th my 8th house ruler is with my chart ruler, Mars, and so it's like my Mercury 8th house ruler, so it's like being people who are in places of transition, transform like change, critical mass. Not always, some people come for readings for very different reasons, but it's like I I had that I guess I had that modeled and the how of that and the structure of how to do that before I really even found astrology. And so like Liz Green and psychological astrology would just fit like right into what was already, a part of my nature and part of my like you could call it like what is it, ancestral, whatever, that. And so that part of yeah, it doesn't feel like a stretch because I know that I can't really fix and I'm not saying that this is why I'm not I'm not putting words in your mouth here. I'm just saying it's like to be part of somebody's process is not to take responsibility or give too much power to the language of astrology to make or break their reality, especially their future. And I think that what your reasoning for not wanting to do predictive or not wanting to like even take ownership of like the predictive nature of astrology or how you might use it predictively, I think that it's very ethical. I think it's coming from a place of very deep ethics within you
Mhm.
and you know like that's just because I know you as an
That's
ethical
Aquarian, right?
human. Yeah, and I mean, I don't know if all Aquarians are ethical, but I do know that you are an ethical Aquarian, and so you
Yeah.
don't you don't wanna do harm to humans, and it's like, I think that's great, and it's like a respectable, very respectable position to take, and it doesn't mean you can't be an astrologer, so it's like my thing about but I wanted to challenge you and felt challenged by I was really wanting to challenge you too, because it was like, yeah, but astrology by its very nature, and this is why I guess we'll have the conversation and hopefully I can have more words to say about that because it's just kind of like for right now, it's like that Taurus thing of like, yeah, yes, huh? It is astrology is predictive, no matter what you say, and it's like I'm just gonna dig my heels in,
Yeah, yeah.
It's like if you're doing astrology, you're being predictive, and I don't care what you say.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it's much deeper and more nuanced than that. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, it's a, lifelong multiple lifelong, endeavor of
Mhm,
study,
mhm.
and so
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, cool.
but that's where I'm at, and I think for me, it's almost I feel uncomfortable
Mhm,
trying to consult people
mhm.
because for one, I can't say the things that I know
Uh-huh,
because I don't have the ability to translate the
uh-huh,
symbols
uh-huh, uh-huh.
as well.
Right.
And then
Mhm.
2, it's my issue is with techniques.
Mm, mhm. Yeah, like which
using
ones are
spec
legit?
oh, well,
Like which
just it no, just in general, just techniques of, like, equations that
mm,
are astrological,
mm,
like, with a lot with a lot of how the Hellenistic stuff is, like, it's,
like
like,
zodiacal
equational.
releasing and your part of fortune and that? Like
Yeah,
formulaic?
kinda like that, like,
Uh-huh.
if it's like an equation, I'm like,
Mhm.
that's not what this is, it's not an equation,"
Yeah,
you know?
but see, just to push back on that, because
Right.
you showed me a really great book, I think it was Aurelio, and it was his equation with how to break down the birth chart, and it was a really cool
Hmm.
who was that? I it's gonna now it'll bug
Oh,
me,
that
but
was, oh my god.
was it,
I can't even I'm not even gonna be I can see the cover. I
Liz
wanna
Green
say it had the
and
ancient the
Susportus? Was it Susportus?
no, is it the one where it was, he was using literature, like, as the analogy for, like, grammar of oh
Yeah,
god.
yeah,
It had the Ancient of Days on the cover. I think you
okay.
knew the astrologer too, and I don't
Yeah.
I had it was an interlibrary loan that I read.
It wasn't
Um,
Nick Campion, though. It wasn't Nick Campion.
no,
No.
god,
Who
I
was it?
can't.
Okay, well, sorry for bringing it up because yeah, but there was an equation in there about, like, how to break down and understand the birth chart. That's different than calculating chapters of a life for, like, based on but it's the mathematical aspect of astrology can't be denied, there is, like, the geometrical because you know that better than me,
Oh, yeah.
you know?
Well, geometry, yeah. That's no
Yeah,
like, there's no question,
yeah.
about so, that's the thing when I say equation,
Mhm.
it's so nuanced because, I
Yeah.
mean, the whole, like oh, man. I guess in a way I'm being paradoxical, and
Mm.
it's because I'm still trying to flesh out
Mhm.
what is it? There's this thing that happens with, like, common astrology that's very, um
Off-putting to you, like, very unsavory?
yeah, it's,
Uh-huh.
what do they say? There's a word they use now, the kids use with,
A sketch?
cringe. It's
Oh, cringe!
cringe. Yeah,
Okay.
that
Yeah.
happens, and it's like, it happens to me regularly when I hear astrologers talking about astrology, and I don't
Uh-huh.
understand that. What is that?
Uh-huh.
Is that like
Yeah.
it's like a it's like an Aquarian I think it's Aquarian, I really do, I think it's just an
Does
Aquarian
it seem like it's
way.
cliché? Like you're like, it's
Yeah.
like, "Ugh," like, I don't wanna be part of that language. I don't wanna be part of that, like, linguistic
Yeah.
groupthink around astrology. It's like
It's like the simple it's just this, like, sun sign, but the thing is, like, I've realized sun sign is like, there's it's true, there's a reason why the sun is the
yeah.
if
You can
you
go
get to
pretty
know one
deep.
thing about somebody's chart,
Yeah.
if you can only know one thing about somebody's chart, you're gonna get the
Mhm.
most information from where is their sun.
Yeah.
Would you say
It's
that's
true.
true?
I do. I do think that's true. Yeah.
I mean, you
Yep.
could argue moon, but it seems like just so true. It's so much to it, and, like, that part pisses me off in a way, I guess,
Mm.
because it's like common knowledge.
Yeah.
Everybody can know that, and I'm like, "No, this is sacred, though. You can't just it's not profane." That's the
Mm.
thing for me. It's like the difference between sacred and profane, and
Yeah.
anytime I get a whiff of profanity in astrology,
That is your Virgo.
I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, I maybe that's Virgo then.
Yeah, you're like,
But anytime I get
it's
a whiff
impure.
yeah, which is, like, ridiculous,
It's
but
unholy.
it's a
Yeah.
feeling that I get, and I have
Uh-huh.
to feel that feeling and relate to that
Yeah.
and live that, and then but
Right.
then not let it translate into arguing with you or somebody else, or in my Aquarian
Mm.
way, just saying some shit like, "Oh, I don't do prediction." Like, and then just
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
what I
Because
mean?
you just made me feel cringe. I'm not doing your sketch.
Yeah.
You what is it? Sus. It's sus. You're
Uh-huh.
being sus right now. But yeah. Oh, you gotta
Well,
weed them
even
out though. You gotta weed out the sus ones, Aaron, you do. And there's a lot
well,
of them. And I mean, yeah,
yeah.
you know,
Well, there's a lot of
s
profanity, uh,
yeah.
and I cuss a lot too, so I'm not talking about, like, using profanity in speech,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
I'm talking about So, to give you another example, so I
Mhm.
went to an art walk. They called it art
Mhm.
walk last night. It's at the Spartanburg Art Museum,
Mhm.
where basically it was like a holiday, like, they let all the artists come and, like, sell our stuff, set up a booth and sell our stuff at the art museum,
Mhm.
and so I do basketry.
Mhm.
Well, they asked me the last basket class because I talked about wanting to teach a class on archetypal psychology, like, at the
Yeah.
museum, like, do, like, a
Mhm.
lecture-based kinda thing, style.
Right,
And
right,
so
right.
she
I
asked me,
remember
"Are you
that.
still wanting" she asked, "Are you still wanting to do, astrology?" And I was like, "Oh," I was like, "Yeah," you
Mhm.
know, I was like, "Yeah." But then publicly, as there's this is what I'm getting at. So, like, last night, I was like, "I wanna bring my astro mandalas. I wanna bring a few," and I did. I brought 3 of them, right?
Mhm.
8
Mhm.
18 by 24 framed art, that I had on easels behind all my baskets, there's plain sight. So it's like, I'm not just there as a basket maker now, I'm there as a basket instructor. And also, you can't miss these huge, colorful astro mandalas.
Yeah.
What are those about?
Right,
So
right.
I was, I was struggled a little bit with, do I want to do that or not? And I
Mhm.
struggled a little bit with sitting there with those charts up. See, what is
Yeah.
that? Why?
Yeah.
Why do I feel that way? You know,
Right.
in public
Mhm.
with this.
Mm. Mm.
And
Mhm.
that plugs right into my relation with being a consulting astrologer. Is like, how am I seen in a 10th house way, I guess, with astrology
Yeah.
and my
Yeah.
relation there. And it's a struggle for me.
Mm.
And what I realized last night is that it's because I'm vulnerable
It's that Pisces,
with that on
Venus.
display.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And that's what I don't like about it.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Because
And it's
it's
somehow plugged into that profanity too, though. See, whenever I get a whiff of profanity, it's connected to that same feeling of vulnerability somehow. And I don't know how.
right.
I just know that
Right.
those things are somehow connected.
Yeah, which is so interesting because, I mean, you do have that opposition between the Virgo Pisces part. So it's like the conflictual nature of it, and it's playing out on like a very personal, spiritual, and public spiritual axis. It's like your spirituality and is tied and in with what you're showcasing or what your visibility on a professional level is tied to. So it's like, yeah, I can see where a 10th house Venus Pisces, especially when it's getting that opposition from Mars and Saturn and what's the other one? Jupiter, right? It's
Jupiter
like, yeah. So
and
it, yeah.
angular, essentially. I mean, not real tight, but
Yeah.
like Jupiter's pretty
Hmm.
close.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, so is
Definitely.
Venus. They're both kind of close, but they're
Well,
important points.
well, and I guess my question would kind of be for you to around that comes up is, or my curiosity is, do you think that the idea of like why it makes you feel that way is so vulnerable is that it might somehow discredit, there's a fear of it discrediting your intellect or your reason or your like
Definitely.
rational, logical,
Yep.
those all
Yep.
because you have so much of that energy, and yet one of the only places that you don't have that you have this flowing, very feminine, like
Mhm.
very spiritual, uncontained, like doesn't have to have a reason, can only just has to rely on intuition, doesn't
Mhm.
need any logic behind it. That's the one planet you have right there in that really public place. And all the other ones are like, what is he doing right now? Why does he have his mandalas up there? Like, like the
Yeah.
spiritual Pisces, the visual artist, like the imagistic, like symbolic, archetypal aspect of you is like on display. And you're like, get it down, everybody. We got a red alert. Like the Virgo's like, red alert. Aquarius is like, oh no, they're going to think I
Yeah.
don't know anything. Yeah. They're gonna think I'm a
Yeah.
dummy, crazy quack because Aquarius is already feels different, man. It's like what a
Yep.
weird, you don't want to seem like the weirdo, but like also you are the weirdo. And, by virtue of your Aquarianness.
Yep.
So yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, we don't wanna be the weirdo.
No. No, you
But
want to
we can't
belong and yeah.
yeah. but we
Mhm.
can't not be the weirdo.
Yeah. And the more that
So
you are and this is part of the sorry to cut you off, but I'm just thinking because it's like being the opposite sign of Leo, the more that you are really truly your own unique brand of weirdo, the more and faster that you fit in and find your people or your clan because your freak flag is like flying and other people are like,
mhm.
"That's my freak group." Like, "There's my freak."
Yeah.
And it's like, "Oh, okay. Well, that was really yeah. I guess I needed to do that." But yeah, that's different than Pisces, and also the rational part of the fixed air of Aquarius Mercury, it's like you you're a serious scholar, whether you ever went to school or not. That's ninth house. You did it in an iconoclastic way, your approach to higher learning and higher knowledge, but like it's also it would be abhorrent to think that to be called, just a sort of a lazy spiritualist or something like that? It's like, but yeah,
Yeah, that's
so,
all right on.
mm.
Exactly. Yep.
By the way, I talked to John. He felt like it was really great. Like the information we gave him about his chart, he felt it was really helpful with his 10th house stuff. And, sometimes when you hear something a different way or, somebody gives you something that you've thought of 1,000 times but he was really grateful for and thinking about that, about the way that, some of that information was conveyed. So I felt happy about that.
So it worked out as a team, sort of
Yeah. Yeah.
consulting with our that would be the 3rd time. Angela,
Uh huh.
Barbara, and then John.
Yeah, and I thought Angela, that was great. It went really smoothly. I think Barbara, it went really smoothly. And with John, it was a lot of fun. And he was just so excited and happy that the episode was called John Magic.
Oh, wait, really?
Yeah, yeah. He was just like, I love that, John Magic. And I was like, yeah, it could be like your last name, You don't have to go by your
Yeah,
last
yeah.
name anymore. You just be John Magic. And I don't know if you did that when you made the
Oh,
title
it
or
just came
what.
out. I just
Yeah,
it was
it
time
was
to
fun.
put it was time to put a title to
Yeah.
the episode, and I was like, "John Magic"
Yeah,
with a
yeah.
K. I was just like, "That's what it is." That's one of my,
Right.
like, superpowers. I can just, like, label things. Come up with
Yeah,
a
there you go,
yeah,
yeah.
like,
The Virgo
"This is I
superpower.
decree."
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
like, "I gotta organize it somehow." Yeah, let's call it what it is.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, so this has been great, I feel
Yeah,
like,
for sure. Should we
and
cl
I think yeah, we'll close this out. So bye,
Yeah,
everybody.
okay. Bye. See